No, there wasn't a stream last week. So you didn't miss it. How you doing, Sean? Actually, I gotta make a call real quick, so I'm gonna mute the audio. Good evening, everyone. I'll be right back. I gotta mute the audio just for a moment. I think I could do it here. Sorry about that. I had to make an appointment change real quick. Edit Monday 26th at 11:45. I have a appointment with the eye doctor again. The whatever the hell is wrong with my eyes, it came back in force. Like aggressively came back in force. And I'm almost out of the salve that fixes it. And I had an appointment today, but there's no way I can make that appointment. I am in no condition to drive 80 miles. I haven't been to sleep since day before yesterday. There's just no way I'm going to be able to safely drive that many miles. If it was local, I wouldn't care. But if 80 miles on a highway, if I F up, that would be bad. All right, where's the rest of the files? There they are. Nose, confirm. So I got it rescheduled for Monday. Hopefully I can get my sleep under control by Monday. I can't take that right now. We are printing a new rocket I'm working on. I wanted to make a ring rocket that was multiple parts, so I can do different colors for different parts. So the way it works is this is the base of the rocket, and that's where the motor mount screws in. There'll be a sleeve that will attach these two pieces together like this. And the point of that is that this will fit in here. Like that. So there's the ring rocket. And then this ring goes on the back here. Oh, no, not that one. This one. This one goes on the back like that. Oh, I got your package in yesterday, DeWitt. I haven't opened it yet. I'm excited to see what's inside. So that'll be like that. And then the next body tube section will have a mount for this ring. So it'll sit right about like that. And so that'll be a nice little ring fin rocket. And of course the tubes in the nose cone. And, no Murph. It'll unless my financial situation changes dramatically, I'll probably never go to another Murph again. It's just too far away. Murph and Earth are now 30-hour drives or an airline flight away. We are going to do the Ender 3 upgrades in 2 parts starting next week. We're going to do the linear rail upgrade first using the stock hot end, and then we're going to do the orbiter upgrade. He wanted me to do it with the stock hot end first, and then do the orbiter upgrade as a separate video. So we're going to do that. And but right now, going to a Murph or an Earth is just, it's a $1,500 trip each. That's to go to Murph would cost me $1,500. You're looking at $700 or $800 for airfare. You're looking at about $120 a night for the room, maybe more. It's too expensive. Car rental. But the Magician's a tank. It won't stop. It's a surprisingly impressive machine. I mean, I'm really impressed. I've changed the way I do my first layer, because of something weird that I'm doing. I found out that I can put a 0.6 millimeter nozzle on a printer, and I can still print 0.4 millimeter sliced files without artifacts. I thought for sure that the filament in the nozzle would have play, be able to move inside of that 0.6 millimeter wide path. But so far, everything I print, even with a deep overhang like this, everything I print is coming out perfectly. So I am very tempted to default all of my machines to 0.6 millimeter nozzles, and then I can pick and choose. I could slice at 0.4 when I need to, and I could slice at 0.6 when that makes sense. I'm really surprised that it works that well. I've only done it on this machine, and the longer 3D. I gotta try to do it. Yeah, this is not the greatest material to use for rockets because it's both PLA and silk, but it looks amazing. So you get the blue, the red, and the green. And for some reason, I don't know why, the transitions, the angular transition, what, this shouldn't work? Or using a 0.6 to print 0.4. I don't know why, it works perfectly. Dimensional accuracy is good. The vertical layer lines are good. Artifacts are good. For a 500 millimeter build volume, go right to a 0.8 or a 1 millimeter, man. Just print big stuff on that machine. If you got that big a build volume. Now, I don't know if it's because of the difference between 3-color and 2-color, but I'm thinking it must be the way it's manufactured. This is Kingroon, and so far they're the only ones that print perfect. And when I say perfect, let me show you how perfect. Go ahead, keep fucking with me. When I say perfect, I mean every face is absolutely perfect. No bleed whatsoever from color change to color change. It is just scary perfect. To give you an example of not perfect, when I do this one, this is a 2-color gold red, and you can see there's a lot of bleed. See how there's a whole bunch of bleed here between the 2 colors? There's some more bleed. All right, here's some more bleed. You can see it in the fin here. There's bleed over between the, and this is vase mode. So it's not, you can see here on the nose cone, how there's a bleed off between the 2 colors. So it's beautiful, but it's not that perfect. This side's red, this side's gold colors. You can see here how the line appears to be moving. So this here is one piece. And you can see how the line moves and there's bleed between the 2 colors. So it's beautiful, but it's not perfect. God damn it. Just stay put, will you? You're gonna piss me off and I'm gonna hurt something on it. But this one is absolutely perfect. Nothing but blue, nothing but green, nothing but red. Well, more purple, because I don't think I have the orientation of the colors exactly perfect. But the point is, it's consistent color for each face. And every single part I print is like that. Perfect color transition. I don't know. Okay, I know why this happens. What I don't know is why is this one consistent and that one not consistent. So this is what's called a co-extrusion. Well, I'm using a 0.6, but I'm printing at 0.4, and it seems to work just fine. I don't know why, but anyway, this here, the co-extrusion, if you cut away a piece of the filament, how can I show you this? I guess I have to take a picture with a good camera. That's what I guess the question is, why are some imperfect? Now, I assumed that the imperfections came from the feeder or the printer twisting the filament as it passes through the feeder. but that appears to be false because these are perfect in every regard possible. So I'm going to order another roll of King Rune. I want to see if they have any 2 extrusion and see if it stays perfect. Maybe it has something to do with the tri extrusion. I'm not sure. Let's see here. So this is going to be hard to see. Yes, it's different brand. So here is the filament. And you can see it. You can see how part of the filament is one color and part of the filament is another color. And there you can see the blue and green. Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm using a direct drive. And also, the only part of the filament path that should matter is from the feeder to the nozzle. Anything that happens before the feeder doesn't matter. I can run that filament through 10 feet of PTFE tube, wrapping it around, and the only difference that's going to have is drag. But that's the thing, though. When I look at the roll of, I think it's in the back. When I look at the roll of 2 color, it looks perfect on the spool. You know, all the one color is facing one way and all the other colors facing the other way. So, and it's perfectly wound, you know, like a Prusament roll. So I know it's not the winding. Well, yeah, drag, but that drag is not going to cause it to twist. The feeder would do that. So I assume that the dual gear feeder was applying a torque to the filament, which every now and then made it go one way or the other. But that would fly in the face. Let's see. That would fly in the face of these repeatable prints over and over and over again. I mean, that one's perfect. This saucer is perfect. This nose cone is perfect. This body tube section is perfect. This very complex fin can section is perfect. And I don't mean good. I don't mean nice. I mean it's perfect. Nose cone, again, perfect. Well, not quite. You can see a little bit of bleeding here. Very, very subtle. You can see a tiny bit of bleed off here in the curve. And I think that's more to do with the fact that it's a curve and not a straight face. Here's another nose cone. Again, about as perfect as you can expect. Here's a dart. And again, it is virtually perfect. I really don't know exactly how they're doing that. Maybe it has something to do with 50% versus 33%. The rose gold, that's what this is. That's what that other one is. Like, this is just spectacular. I love this. I'm making this to be a high power dart. So it's going to actually have a nose cone. That'll have a parachute in there because it's a little bit heavy for drag recovery. And basically, punch. The only problem I have is that I can't line up the color transitions. And that's because this one prints this way and this one prints this way. So they're actually going in reverse directions. So this one here goes green, blue, red, while this one here goes green, red, blue. Because this one was printed this way and this one was printed this way. But when I put them together, they go this way. So I'm reversing the colors when I flip it over. And I don't know how to tell the slicer go the other way. Well, hopefully at Narum, I'll have some rockets flying. The smaller rockets I have motors for, so I'll be able to fly them. I wish that would work. Um, the I still am limited on how much flying I can actually do when I go to Narum, if I go, simply because I have no money. Um, but I have a plan. I got more rockets than I can shake a stick at because I'm printing them nonstop, as I iterate and test. Now, some of the rockets I'm gonna keep because they're using very expensive filament, like this rocket here. I'm not giving this one away. This is using two very nice atomic filament PET Gs. But what I'll do is I'll print this in cheaper colors. I'll print another copy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them away for free. I'm going to give people, a $50 rocket, $100 rocket for free in exchange for them flying it for me. So I'm going to give you this rocket for free, but you got to fly it here at Narum so I can take a picture of it flying and see it fly. And I found another weird issue. I decided to make a set of tube fin rockets, so 2, 3, 4, and 5 tubes, and they are surprisingly durable and while still having a decent amount of flex, so they should handle landing. So those are going to be fun. But this one was a really neat idea. I call this Thump because it's basically I'm using the slicer to generate the flight surfaces. So this is basically just my tube with a cylinder. No structure, just a cylinder. And then I use the infill as the flight surfaces. And there's like 5 infills that work. So here's sinusoidal, and this is grid. Then you also have wiggle, triangle, and there's one more. Hexagonal, honeycomb. Well, there's a problem though. You notice how they're pretty ugly? And some of them don't print right at all. Like this, where is it at? They all print like this. Like this infill line doesn't even go all the way down. I found out the slicer does not use retraction during infill printing. I don't know why. And you can see it. You see all these excess lines all over the place? Those are travel movements. You can see it real big on here. There's a big one there. There's a big one over here. There's another big one over here. Those are all travel movements within the infill. And for some reason, it just ignores the retraction settings during infill printing. I don't know why. It just decides, I'm not going to print infill there, or I'm not going to use retraction. And so, of course, what happens is it moves from here to here without retracting, which results in all of this oozing. And worse, because of that, so this big one here, this is a big one, a big ooze, all the way from here to here. Well, see, that's not true, though. At first, I thought that. But then I realized that's not true. Because there are 2 things that are compromised when you don't retract. Your optics is compromised. Now, that is irrelevant because normally it's hidden inside. So the optics don't matter. But SI is also compromised. You're compromising your structural integrity. This part of the model here has less strength because there's no infill where there's supposed to be. No, it won't. Because the model itself doesn't matter. It's toolpath direction. So while I can mirror the model, the toolpath is still going to go clockwise or counterclockwise. So mirroring the model, it's still going to go clockwise. And if you take this model and mirror it, it's exactly the same thing. Nothing changes when you mirror this model. The problem is this, doing this orientation. Oh, I think you're right. In order to guarantee that the tool heads, no, that doesn't guarantee they won't collide, but I do think you're right. I do think it might move in. I'll have to try that. I'll have to try that to see if the problem is it's going to force me to print 2 every time. But I could do one with regular plastic and one with the tricolor plastic. Yeah, I'm going to try that. I got a printer right here that'll do that. I'm going to try that. So I need to figure out, because I'm not printing top and bottom layers, and the infill on this part is actually structural, meaning it's holding it together. Not only do the optics look bad, but it's compromising SI by not retracting. You know, my structural integrity is compromised because all those lines that result after the lack of retraction are weaker. So this one here is almost non-existent. It's almost gone. Yeah, you can see it right there. See? It's basically gone. There's nothing there. It's just nothing. So the structural integrity of this part of the model is compromised because that infill line's not there. So hopefully that's something that can be figured out. The problem is I can't do this in any other slicer because no other slicer will let me do this. I can't do it in Cura. I can't do it in Idea Maker. I can't do it in Prusa Slicer. They won't slice these correctly. Actually, that's a problem. That means the end user can't slice these. Well, they can, but they'll be a lot heavier. As far as I'm aware, no other slicer will allow you to transition to and from vase mode. It's either all vase mode or no vase mode. As far as I know, Simplify 3D is the only slicer that will allow me to go, 5% infill with 2 walls and then 1 wall vase mode. No other slicer will let me do that. You can do blocks. The slicers just aren't compatible with it. As soon as you enable vase mode, it disables everything else, except in Simplify 3D. In Simplify 3D, I can assign a process to this and a process to this, and I can tell this to be 2 walls with infill and this to be vase mode. But in every other slicer, that's not an option. If you enable vase mode, you can't have infill. And if you enable infill, you can't have vase mode. So they would have to print the whole thing with infill. Now that could work. It wouldn't be clean. It wouldn't be nice, but it could work. I'm assuming I can change the amount of infill. So what they could do is print this with no top and bottom layers. No, that's what I mean. The $200 slicer is the only one that lets me do it. It's the only one that will. The free slicers won't do this. No. See, the issue. Okay. This all comes down to SI, structural integrity. The purpose of vase mode is not single wall. I can print a normal layered print with single wall. I can tell the slicer to slice this model with 1 wall and like 1% infill, which will probably give me similar stiffness to what I'm doing with the ribs and the vase mode. The advantage of vase mode is the lack of retraction, the one single continuous extrusion from start to finish. That gives you a monolithic structure. You have it's like cement is substantially stronger than concrete because cement is homogeneous. Yes, but not vase mode. That's the one restriction. I can put a blocker in here, and I can tell this section to have different settings than this section. But if I put a blocker in here, and I tell it to make this section of the model, 5% infill, 2 walls, it will not let me make this part vase mode. At least the last time I tried. On top of that, none of these models work in Cura. Cura just butchers the fuck out of them. It just destroys them. It just... bleh. Go ahead, try it. Download my hammer off of printables and try slicing it in Cura. I would give big praise to the first person who successfully sliced that model in Cura because I haven't figured it out yet. Even Prusa Slicer takes some finagling, but it's consistent finagling. I know how to bend Prusa Slicer to my will and make it do what I want. I do have some problems with Prusa Slicer. For example, this model is very difficult. I have not figured out how to slice this model in Prusa Slicer yet. See that line right there? See that line? That's actually a defect. You can see here, it didn't print that. See? I can stick my finger in there. Okay? I had to reslice this, and I'll have to print it again. For some, and this is not a Simplify 3D problem. This is an all slicers problem. Cura does it. Prusa Slicer does it. Slick 3R does it. Bamboo Slicer does it. Idea Maker does it. Flash Print does it. Simplify 3D does it. They all do it. They all must be using the same mathematical formula to calculate vase mode, because they all have the exact same error. When I slice this model, for some reason, this model, no, because it's going to be for sale. But if you go to printables, you go to my Nerisse.com and click on my printables link, the hammer is done in vase mode like this. Yes, if you can make this work in Cura, that would be amazing. So this problem, though, is a little bit different. For some reason, I do not know the reason why. It's a math problem. I'm assuming it's a math problem. For some reason, when you start with a large surface area and you suddenly transition to a small surface area. So we're going from this much surface area to this much surface area. Okay, so the diameter of this. We're going from, 100 and, or 180 millimeters to 60 millimeters. When you do that, for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, it recalculates the vase from here to here. And when it recalculates it, it deletes half the layer. It erases half the layer. So when you look at it in the slicer, you literally see a gap in the model. Like there's literally a gap where it just says, I'm not going to print that section. And there is nothing you can do to get rid of it. At least as far as I have been able to determine, it is not possible to remove this. The only thing I can do is I can either delete half the layer or I can double print half the layer. There's no option C. So I can rig it so that it deletes half the layer or double prints half the layer. And the way I do that, as far as I know, can only be done in Simplify 3D. Because what I have to do that, what I have to do to make it double print the missing layer, is I have to print the model twice. I have to put the model in the slicer twice. Align origins so the two models overlap. I then have to create a multi-process model where this part of the model's vase mode and this part of the model's vase mode, but they're separate models. If I do it so that it's all one model with multi-process, it does not work. It has to actually be separate model files that overlap. And I'm telling it, okay, the first model file, just print this part. The second model file, just print this part. And when I do that, on top of placing the start point inside the model, which you can't do in Prusa Slicer. In Prusa Slicer, you cannot define the start point. In Simplify 3D, I can. In Simplify 3D, I can tell it, make the start point 130 by 130, which is the center of my 260 by 260 bed. And then it'll then pick the point closest to that. Prusa Slicer always picks a point on the outside, no matter what. You cannot tell Prusa Slicer to pick a point on the inside. It won't do it. It just, you don't have the ability to define the start point. And I have to both print from inside the model, and I have to print two models that are overlapped with a process for each individual part that overlaps. When I do that, I can make it double print the layer. So you just end up with I do have a example I can show you. Where is my example? This one. This one did the same thing. No, wait a minute. This one didn't do it, did it? Yes, it did. Okay, this is hard to see, but if you look at this side of the model, no problem, right? It's normal. But now look at this side of the model. You can't really see it. Because it's white, you can't really see it. But right here, it actually double printed that line. So instead of a gap, I have compression. So 2 layers squished together, which is okay because that's structurally strong. The gap is destructive. The gap means the model comes apart. If you go to printables.com, you can bring up the hammer. Hang on, let me bring it up for you. Let's see. My profile, 3D models, and the hammer. Here we go. There you go. Has to be printed in vase mode. No top layers, no bottom layers, all vase mode. Hey, Joe. So now that I know it does that, if I see that gap there, and if it's caused by this diameter change, I can double the model, or sometimes just putting the start point on the inside is enough. Sometimes with bigger models like this one, I have to actually double the model and do that trick. I have not figured out how to do that in any other slicer. So there are some models that simply break if I try to print them in any other slicer. They look okay, except that one layer, it's missing, and that destroys the model. So the whole point of vase mode is that you have no retractions. And by having no retractions, you have no flaws in the filament. Because every time you retract, that point where you retracted, the point where you reached here, retracted, and moved to another point, that's a weak point. The model is weaker wherever you stop and retract. And because vase mode is one continuous long extrusion without stopping, I have no weak points. Now keep in mind, there are multiple kinds of weak points. You have design weak points. So for example, on a model like this transition here will always be a weak point, structurally speaking. But then you also have mechanical weak points, meaning weak points of the construction method. So for example, if you're chipping away something with a chisel, every point where you hit that with the point of the chisel, that's a weak point. You're creating a line in the model that can be weaker. Hey, Matt's Makerspace. So vase mode eliminates mechanical weak points that are derived from the printing process itself. You still have design weak points, you still have material weak points, but vase mode eliminates the structural weak points that are added by the printing process itself. As long as I correctly design the model, those weak points don't exist anymore because it's one continuous extrusion. You get the maximum strength of the filament. The advantage of that is, no, you can't use XY compensation. Okay, the layer isn't going away because it's too thin. This model's solid. There's no, except for this hole in the middle here, this model is a solid piece. I'm producing cuts, not voids. So this model is 4 millimeters thick. XY compensation is not going to do anything. It's a mathematical algorithmic problem with the vase mode algorithm. Whatever algorithm, whatever math they are using to calculate a tool path for vase mode does not like it when you go from a large diameter to a small diameter. Now, if you start small, go large, and come back, no problem. If you start small and go large and stay large, you're fine. If you start large and go small, you're fine. It's when you have a transition, large, 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 boom, small, small, small. That's where it runs into the problem. That's why this prints without a problem, but this has a problem. Because this is you're starting small, and then you're just getting bigger. It has no problem with that. But if I were to start small, go bigger, 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 and then suddenly come in here and print small here, that would be a problem. It seems to have less problems with fins. So you're small, but you have these fins protruding out. That doesn't seem to be a problem. But if I have square fins, where it's not a smooth transition back to the 60 millimeter size, then it has a problem. So, for example, I don't actually have an example to show. Oh, this one. It didn't like this very much. Going from these squares and then all of a sudden to this. It wasn't very happy with that. Does this one have lines? Yes, it does. So on this one, you can actually see it. Very heavy model, by the way. This is a wood-filled PLA, but it looks amazing. So let me show you this. You'll see what I did here. Let me get these out of the way. I don't think it's anything that I can compensate for in design because it's an algorithm problem. I'm 99.9% certain it's a math algorithm problem in the slicers itself. And I think it's something to do with the vase mode algorithm because every single slicer does the exact same thing. All of them. Every slicer I've tried has this exact same problem. Okay. I need to use this camera because it has a macro lens, which means it's capable of showing you this. You can see it right there. See it? See how the layer squishes out? See how there's a squish out right there? Because there's too much plastic? That's because it went from this size to this size, and it cut away half of this layer. Like, this layer was actually missing. So what I had to do was... So what I had to do was, in the slice, this is a separate piece. In the slicer, I had to import this model twice, align origins to put them on top of each other. So you had model 1 and model 2. And in process 1, I only print model 1. In process 2, I only print model 2. And if you try to do it with the same model, it fails. It does not work. You have to actually use two separate models. I think Simplified 3D, one of the problems with Simplified 3D is that I'm attempting to do complex stuff, and it's attempting to simplify that process. It's saying, hey, these are the same thing, so I'm just going to continuously print from one piece to the other. Normally, that makes perfect sense. As a matter of fact, that's a good thing. That's going to make your model better. However, when you are trying to do something weird to overcome a flaw in an algorithm in the program, that reintroduces that flaw. So I create the multi-process, but because it then makes it one process, it reintroduces the vase mode flaw, which has something to do with the math, not the slicer itself. So by having it two separate models and telling it to print sequentially, it doesn't try to merge them because it now sees them as two unique separate models. So it doesn't try to do any funny stuff in the background. So the first process prints just this height, and the second process prints just this height. And by doing that, it finishes this layer and then starts printing this on top of it. Now, the result is you get that little bit of squish because there's a little bit too much plastic printing there. But at least that doesn't crash the structural integrity of the model like that one did. The problem is you can't do that in any other slicer. I have not figured out a way to do that in any other slicer. Because most slicers will not allow you to multi-process vase mode. Simplified 3D is the only one that allows you to multi-process vase mode, even if both processes are vase mode. It just doesn't like it. They're not. I guess they're not configured to allow it. Prusa Slicer will probably fix it eventually, because they're actively correcting problems. And I'm going to walk an end user through how to do that? No. You're probably right. I could probably do that, but there are many problems with doing that. One of the points of vase mode is that even a poorly tuned printer can successfully print vase mode. So if you have a crappy, poorly set up machine that's not mechanically perfect, vase mode usually still works because it's one continuous movement without retraction. However, if you're telling, thought I felt something. Um, if you're telling a person to print two separate STL files and their printer has to home and then print on top of a piece already on the print bed, yeah, good luck with that. I have 10 years experience at this and I fail at that half the time. I can't expect an end user to do that. I can't. The solution for now is I slice the model and I provide G code. So I provide G code for PETG and I provide G code for PLA. PETG is close enough to ABS that you can also do ABS. You just have to bump up the temps a little bit. And this way, you know, that G code should work on 99% of printers out there. Yeah, you're right. It might work, but I can't expect somebody to buy a file from me and then have to go through crazy steps like that to make it work. That's asking a lot. So those files, I'll just have to make sure I mark them as, you know, beta files. Make sure people understand that these might not always work. So somebody who knows the math would have to explain to me why it does the things it does. I don't understand the math well enough to be able to explain that. Like this one I still have to fix. You see, I asked the squish to be able to insert this. And I learned I need to cut off the corners. So I just need to chevron the corners so I don't get that ringing. That ringing makes the file too big. So chevroning the corners seems to do the trick. Because, for example, when I did that with this one, beautiful fit. Just chevron those corners a little bit. You can see the chevron right there. And it just goes right in. Perfect. So I'll have to reprint those pieces to make sure they work right. But yeah, it's interesting, you know, and it's largely because I'm doing it's not really a slicer problem. I'm doing very weird things with the slicer to achieve very interesting results. Yeah, this one's awesome. I love this. We actually make these all the time using the triangular boxes from the post office. Yeah, that's a very common rocket. This actually needs one more section. So I didn't print the insert yet for it. So this would go here. You see, I need to add adhesion aids because these warp like crazy. But that will go there, and then this will go on top. So I don't think this section, the model this, I don't think that'll be stable. I think it needs one more section to be stable. But yeah, the look of that is just I want to make a smaller triangular rocket just so I can take advantage of that. I want to try a 6-sided rocket. I want to print a hexagon and see if I get 6 different colors. So 3 of the sides will be these true colors, and the other 3 should be a mix of these colors. So this face would be a mix of the blue and the green. So I want to try to print a hexagon and see if I get 6 unique colors. Now, so that filament sucks for rockets for multiple reasons. First, it's silk, so it can delaminate very easily. Although printing it this big and beefy, it should be okay. The other problem is these colors are dark, so these will warp in the sunlight. If you leave this out in the sun too long, this is going to warp because it is a phase mode print. But looks so damn good. I've started bugging the filament makers. I'm like, why don't you have a co-extrusion PETG? Yes, please, co-extrusion PETG. I want to see Atomic Filament using this blood diamond and create a similar blue that has the sparkles and the iridescent, and the a white with the sparkles, like a transparent with sparkles and iridescent. So you can have a red, white, and blue co-extrusion. Yes, I want a red, white, and blue co-extrusion because that would make this a very patriotic model. but I need co-extrusions in PETG. I also want a carbon fiber TPU because a carbon fiber TPU would be the cat's paw, man. That would just be. Could you imagine the indestructible nature of TPU, but also being somewhat stiff because of the carbon fiber? People say, why would you want a stiff TPU? Because TPU is indestructible. That's why. It's indestructible. I want stiff, but I also want indestructible. And a carbon fiber TPU might do that. A carbon fiber TPU might give you a nearly indestructible, semi-flexible, somewhat stiff model. It'd be heavy as balls. TPU is heavy. But, god damn, would that be strong. You could shoot that thing into a brick wall and just like, psh, psh, psh. That's fine. Or glass filled, either one. Or wood filled. How come nobody's made a wood TPU or a wood, no, it's gotta be strands. It's gotta be shreds. Beads would not be good. You want you want strands for stiffness. Beads will give you resilience, but they won't give you stiffness. At least not much. Also, why no wood TPU? Why no wood PETG? No one makes a wood-filled PETG? Although wood is pretty good in sunlight. The wood fibers actually provide some stability. I'll have to test it. I'll have to print a small piece out of wood and just stick it out in the sun, put it on top of a car, and let it get hot in the sun and see what happens. Use this dark color. I got this one. I wanted to print this one. I thought this was a neat idea. This one you can see the same thing. Well, you can't really see it, but you see that bulge line there? Again, that's from doing large to small. And that breaks the algorithm for some reason. But the problem I have with this is it's too floppy. So I need to stiffen up this connection right here. You see that connection right there is hollow. I need to put some. I mean, I could just do this with infill and it'd be fine, but I want to do it in phase mode. So I need to figure out a way to put reinforcement in there. I already have a way. Like, I have one rib on this side. I could put a second rib on this side. That'll give me integrity this way. Then what I need is a cross rib between those two ribs, going from one rib to the other rib. So I have a cross on the inside here, and that should stiffen that up quite a bit. I still wouldn't trust it with a high power motor, but like an F20 or an F25 or an F12 or a D12 or an E12, that'd be fine, because it's pretty stable this way. Like, it doesn't flex all that much this way. That's way more force than it's going to experience in flight. But this way is an issue. So I need to figure out how to stiffen that up. I just like the idea of having a ring fin with one connection point. I'm also thinking about doing a no fin ring fin. So have a ring fin with no fins at all. And then suspend the ring onto the body using fishing line. So create tension lines in here to attach the two parts together, so there's no actual fin in this gap here. I think that'd be pretty cool. What do you mean TPU cuts like butter? Well, remember, it's got to be vase mode, so I got to be careful with that. I see what you mean. Put a an external brace to stiffen up this cross. But I think I can do it by simply duplicating that rib and putting a cross rib, and that would go all the way up the whole length. I think that would be enough. Of course, if I printed this with a thicker nozzle, that would work, but then it would be heavy. But I like the design of that. I think it's cool. This is another one where doing it this way might work. You know, using a multi-part model like this. That would allow me to make it multiple colors. Oh, really? So TPU can be cut, but what about a TPU print? Does the print also cut that easily? Oh, hey, Mike. Huh. I never tried to do that. I mean, the reality is none of my models are ever going to experience a need to be cut or at risk of being cut, so it's not a huge deal for what I do. But I could see that being a problem for some prints. If the part is going to come into contact with a sharp surface. Yeah, just smash, you know, Hulk smash. You know, TPU is amazing. It's really ridiculously strong. And you can fuse TPU to PLA. It's not great, but it can work. The more surface area you have, the better. Oh, you were thinking the shreds themselves might cut the TPU. Oh. Because carbon fiber is pretty sharp. But it's sharp at a molecular scale. So it might be different than like knife sharp. That'd be an interesting test. I did find out someone does make a carbon fiber TPU. There's one company that makes a carbon fiber TPU. When I do a search for carbon fiber TPU, it comes up, but it's like $70 a kilo. It's stupid expensive. Oh, I got that other razor in too. I like this one. USB-C. It's got a screen that shows you how much power is remaining, and it cuts much, much finer. No pulling. It does a good job. It gets most of the hairs. So I like this one. You can get this one on AliExpress for between like $13 and $17. Just hunt through the super deals, and this usually pops up. I like this one. I also like the design. It's just nice. But what I don't like is that you can't take it apart. There's no screws. So that means all clips. And what I really, really want is I want somebody to make serviceable hardware. I want to see a return to serviceable hardware. Yeah, we gotta science the shit out of this. um, the Oh my god, I haven't been to sleep in a day and a half. I have this. When the eye problem came back, I couldn't go to sleep that night, and that inverted my sleep schedule again. So now I can't fall asleep at night. I end up falling asleep during the day. And usually I get so tired to the point where it's painful and I have to try to go to sleep. But today I'm going to try to stay up. I'm going to try to stay up until tonight. It's aggravating as hell. You can't understand how it's not painful like, you know, if you get injured, you smash your hand, cut yourself. It's not painful like that, but it's debilitating. It makes you dysfunction. It's why I had to cancel my appointment for the eye doctor today. I can't safely drive 80 miles. If I tried, I'd probably kill myself if I was lucky, killed someone else if I wasn't lucky. I'm just too tired to drive that kind of distance because I haven't been to sleep since, you know, yesterday morning. I think I got in like an hour of sleep this morning at like 7:30. You know, it was like 7:30 this morning before I think I finally fell asleep. The the time from 7:30 to 9:30 went faster than I felt like it should, which is usually an indication that I fell asleep at some point. So I'm hoping I can stay awake until tonight. If I can manage to stay awake completely, I'll tire myself out enough that I should fall asleep easier tonight. But you also can hit the point where you're too tired and can't fall asleep either. Sleeping pills don't work. At least I haven't found any that work yet. The melanin pills don't work. My dad, when he was alive, he even gave me one of his sleeping pills that says knocks him out like that. Did absolutely nothing. I am tired. I just can't fall asleep. I spent all last night in bed staring at the ceiling, tired out of my mind, but I can't fall asleep. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm tired, but I can't sleep. Yeah, I heard they're bad news. That's why I'm not messing with them. But Jesus, it's just lack of sleep is horrible. It makes it hard to get anything done because you can't think. Your brain doesn't work right, so you can't process information correctly. You can't even watch TV. You zombie out watching a video. You can't even watch a video. It's just your brain's just not there. But you can't sleep. And when I can sleep, I don't want to sleep. Well, I don't mess with alcohol too much. It's the same reason why I don't mess with pot. Even though I am an advocate of marijuana, I think it's perfectly fine. I think the government has no legal authority whatsoever to regulate pot. Most drugs, in fact, I think they lack the legal authority. The Constitution has no enumerated power that gives them that right, but they do it anyway. But I have family members who are prone to addiction, and I have the same genetic code as they do, which means there's a very high probability that I'm prone to addiction. So I have to avoid that stuff. Things like pot, smoking, alcohol, I have to just avoid like the plague. I can't take the chance. If I fall into an addiction, I'm fucked. I'm just so screwed if that happens. So yeah, I have to avoid that at all costs. But I'm hoping to reset the clock today. You know, just like right now, I have like an internal headache. It's not a normal headache. If you've ever stayed up for a long time, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Where you just have this small aching inside your head because you need to sleep. And you know, caffeine don't work, coffee don't work, doesn't do anything. So I have to try to stay up long enough today to make it to evening tonight. If I can just make it to 8 or 9 o'clock, that'll be enough to get me somewhat back on track. You know, where I'll be sleeping at night and not during the day. If I could just get close. Interesting. But I got to get that cycle, that circadian rhythm back. I got to get back that correct rhythm of sleep, night, wake, day. Well, I'm not going to fall asleep doing the live stream. If I do nothing, if I just sit around, I'm going to fall asleep. So, although I got to stop at 2 o'clock, so I'm going to get the veggies. Yeah, hopefully they have some good stuff today. But this is the latest one I'm working on. I have show you rockets, 60 millimeter Vega. So there's the parts. I still have to print this part here. That's going to be the next body tube segment. And then this small ring will sit on top of that one there. But doing it this way, I can print the rings in a different color from the yeah. Actually, you can get in trouble for that. You're not supposed to sleep on stream. Apparently, that's a rule thing. But I added the third ring as an aesthetic. I just think it'll look nice. So the advantage of this is that you can print the parts in different colors. So you can have a rocket with, you know, different colored components, which I think would be cool. I'm actually eventually thinking about making more rockets with fins that glue onto slots so that you could print the fins in a different color. This red is amazing. And trust me, you will love it 100 times more if you could actually see what it looks like. So what you're seeing right now is not the color. That is not what this looks like. That's actually, that down there is actually closer to what it looks like. But even that is, it's, what do you call it? It's pale. In real life, this is like a ruby red with glitter and a gold iridescence when the light hits it just right. And you can't see that in camera. And in camera, it doesn't look ruby red. For some reason, in camera, it looks pale, washed out. This color is amazing. It's my new favorite color from Atomic. I also really love this rose mist. It's just this actually looks like what it looks like in real life. So that is what it actually looks like. But that's actually also a really beautiful color. I love Atomic Filament. They're probably my favorite filament brand. I just can't afford them. They're not expensive. They're like $32 a roll for the nice the nice colors. I just can't afford to buy filament, especially when I have, 500 rolls of it. Although I can't do too many rockets in PLA, so I gotta dig through all my filament and pull out all the PET G, because I really need to print rockets in PET G. The white PLA is okay. So far, white PLA has not warped in the sun, but pretty much any color warps. But the problem is I want to make rockets with colors. They look nicer. They also photograph nicer when they have colors. And I suck at painting. I don't want to paint. $30 to $35 a roll for a premium grade filament is not a bad price. That's a decent price for premium grade American made filament. And their stuff prints like butter. It just it sticks, it doesn't warp, it doesn't pull. It's just good filament. I've never gotten a bad roll from them, put it that way. I've never gotten a bad roll from Atomic. We made little pizzas. We make pizzas using tortilla shells, tortillas. And then I have a Betty Crocker pizza oven. It's basically it's a George Foreman grill, but it's giant and round. No, shipping is gonna kill you. Yeah, shipping's gonna. There's a reason European makers like making 750 gram rolls of filament. I hate it because I want a kilogram, not 3/4 of a kilogram. But there's a reason. There's a reason that they use 750 gram rolls or 700 gram rolls, and that's because there's a big change in shipping cost once you go over 1 kilogram. So by using 700 kilograms, when they add the spool and the packaging, they're still under a kilogram. And that makes a huge difference in shipping price. Shipping price goes up dramatically once you go past a kilogram. That's why most European rolls are 700 grams. It's not because they're trying to cheat you. It's not because they're trying to screw you. They're actually saving you money by bringing down the cost of shipping. The U.S., we don't have that problem. China doesn't have that problem, so it's all 1 kilogram rolls. I have a roll of a gold sparkle PETG from Filamentum. I gotta print a rocket in that. Yeah, I gotta save a little bit of my Rapunzel to print the nose cone. No, I've never tried making my own filament. I would like to get into recycling PET to make PET bottles. The problem is access to interesting large PET bottles is not as common here in the US. Like, you Europeans get those really cool cobalt blue bottles and green bottles and stuff like that. We don't. 3 liter bottle is the biggest you're going to get, with 2 liter being the common bottle. Yeah, I bet that gold dust is nice. But for me, it's a toss up between Atomic and Filamentum. I love the Wizard's Voodoo. I love this um, Icelandic blue. It's just absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous. Do I have a print in here? No, I don't. I don't have one to show you. I also love these transition rolls. Really? Gotta mess with me, don't you? Yeah, Filamentum is awesome. There. Now what are you gonna do? Punk. I don't know what company made it, but there is a company that made a rocket that looked almost exactly like this. These were paper. And so I made a 3D printed version. Oh. But, I'm thinking about calling it Deep Penetrator. But I like this. Although I think for scale, these need to be a little bit bigger, or this needs to be smaller. But I love these transition colors, especially when you could print all the parts in the same orientation, so the transition moves through the entire model. I just absolutely love that. Here's another one. And you get to see the transition. You get to see the transition move through the entire model smoothly from one end to the other. It just looks so nice when it transitions like that. I love those transition rolls. The trick would be UV protection. Not expensive at all. They're like $20-$25 a roll. Between 20 and 30, depending on what sale price you get. Hang on, let me get you a link for the one. $27.99, which is really not bad for a specialty roll of filament. And $19 for the King Rune, which is really cheap. That's the PETG that I just showed you. And that second one is this stuff. Let's see. Do they have any double color? Let's see. Red green plus red gold plus red blue. Here's a gold silver. No, silk gold silver copper. That's a try. The silk is PLA. The first one, the Strong Hero, is a PETG. Okay, so it looks like it might be something to do with the bicolor versus tricolor. Because their example here has, oh, that could be a direction change. You can see theirs has lines in the colors. That could be a direction change. I might have to give one of their 2 colors a try and see if it prints as nicely as the 3 color. But they do have other 3 colors. Wow. That's a lot. Green, purple, copper looks pretty good. But I want PETGs. Well, these are being used outdoors, so I kind of need PETG. The PLA just warps too readily. The well, co-extrusions are interesting. I don't know how they do it, but what I do is I do a search for PETG gradient. See what comes up. This one's only $20. I've used this one before too. It's a little more brittle than the good stuff. The shipping is what's killing them. They have a multicolor blue for $20 from Strong Hero. Oh, is this where I got the pink and white? Nope, that's red. Oh, wow, that looks nice. Boy, if it's actually that vibrant in real life. That is a neon green or neon yellow. They have orange too, but the yellow looks really hot. It almost looks like it's fluorescing. Yeah, I saw that. Apparently you scared him off and he left the rabbit behind. It's not wobbling. Nope, it's on there good. I want to print one of these matte gradient pastel colors from Polymaker. I mean, that just looks shit hot for a rocket. The problem is it's PLA. And it would suck to blow $28 and have it warp in the sun. Although the pastel colors are light, so it might not warp. £20 rabbit? I didn't know rabbits can get to 20 pounds. Oh man, I want one of these yellow rolls. That just looks like such a nice color. Mm. As long as you don't corner them, most animals aren't going to bother you. Most of them are more afraid of you than you are of them. And now, if you corner one, that's different. It could happen by accident. But typically, they're going to run away from you. Man, 20 pounds of rabbit. I'd have been tempted to cook that. Hey, rabbit tastes good. Suck his eyeballs out. Still haven't found the power supply for my filament dryer, but then I got to thinking, I do have dehydrators. I'll have to try that. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That would be the equivalent of cornering them. Nope. Eat that dog as a snack. Cat would be like, snack time. Wait a minute. Rainbow TPU? TPU gradient. Petchy, Petchy. PLA, Petchy. Is it on Amazon? Post the number. So if you look at the listing, it will have a number. It'll look something like this. It'll look something like that. And I can look it up with that number. Look in the URL. When you click on the listing, in the URL, amazon.com/whatever, you're going to have, like this one says, filament multicolor gradient IEMAI dash printing /DP / then it has that number, then / more crap. But with that number, I can look it up and then I'll post a link. Amelin. Amelin's good stuff. Then share it with me. Share it and send to 3dprinting@Nerys.com. Wow, that silk red black looks nice. Except it's PLA, which means it's not going to work. I don't see an Amelin multicolor TPU. Oh, my eye issue might be a allergic reaction to pinion pollen. Apparently the pinion trees are pollinating like crazy because of all the moisture we got this year. So I might be allergic to it. Or having an allergic reaction. You can't send a link. It's not going to let you. You'll have to email it to me. Yeah, I don't see a multicolor TPU from Amelin. That's why I said post the number, because YouTube blocks links. You know, this model might be pretty cool in gold. Be a little gaudy, but it'd be pretty cool. Because gold would go really nice with this red. Maybe I'll reprint these components in the gold PETG I got from Filamentum. That might look really cool. Email me the link. Hit the share icon and email me the share link. 3dprinting@Nerys.com. Wow, cool. Nice. Probably need to search for copy. Paste. Come on. Is it the... Let's see. Which video is it? No, that's not true. I'm seeing a whole bunch of videos called Build 123D. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't use the quotes. Maybe that makes a difference. Leaderboard challenge. Here we go. Yeah, the quotes made a difference. YouTube was removing the build and just searching 123D. Okay. Here we go. Ah, there we go. Oh, I've never seen one all letters before. Hmm. Nothing is coming up. Are you on the US site or are you on a foreign site? Amazon.com or one of their other sites? Oh, it is US. So why won't this show up? No results. It will not come up. That's interesting. I've never had that not work before. I've also never seen one that was only letters. No worries. When you get a chance, email it to me. Click the little share icon and email it to me. Send it to... I don't think it's a matter of being hidden. I think it's weird. I don't know. But when you go to when you go to a listing, there's a little share icon here. When you click that share icon, you can send it to email. and that should invoke your email and auto-populate it. And it'll give you this. It'll give you a short link and description. All you gotta do is put my email address in there and send it. That'll give me a full link. It's weird that I do not see that. Oh, I think I found it. Now, why didn't this come up when I typed in Amelin TPU? Amazon is so messed up sometimes. I typed in Amelin TPU and it did not come up. But I type in Amelin Flexible Color and now it comes up for some reason. It's a totally different number too. So there might be more than one. This one is that number. So here's one of them. Wow, transparent TPU rainbow. Hell yeah. I want to add that to my save list. Yeah, it's a totally different number for me. For me, it comes up as this number. Why are you messing with me? Yeah, for me, it comes up at that number. See, when I type in that number, this should work. Yeah, see? When I type in that number in the search, it brings it right up. So I'm wondering, where did you get your number from? Why did Amazon give you that number? Unless the apps have different numbers? I mean, I guess that's possible. The apps are using different numbers. That's weird. Let's slow this down. Yeah, it's weird. I'm not sure what that number was. I've never tried to extract one from the app, though, so that might be why. Well, normally you wouldn't have access to that number. You got to go looking for it. So it's not going to confuse anybody because nobody's gonna realize that number is even there unless they're looking for it. See the URL here? This URL is amazon.com/amelin-filament-transparent-flexible-printing/dp/bobwm6tgyp/ref source 1 3D. All this crap is the item number. Is the URL. All this crap. And I just happen to know that I can extract that number right there before the ref. And that's the item number that will be searchable. So if I were to bring up an Amazon page, I can paste that number into here and do a search. And there it is. It pops right up. I don't know. but it's a good way of posting links on YouTube without posting links on YouTube. If you can get that correct number, then you can send people to things like this and get around that link restriction that YouTube has because you're not posting a link. Yeah, no red this time either. Got some hairs though, so it didn't cut them all. I like the form factor, but I don't like the fact that I can't take it apart. I don't like non-serviceable products, even when they're cheap. Although Europe is doing something interesting, it looks like it's going to pass. It hasn't passed yet, but the support is there for it to pass to make removable batteries and cell phones mandatory by 2027 or 2025 or something like that. About goddamn time. You know, I got this $900 phone here, and it's going bad because the battery's puffing up. So now I have to risk ripping it apart to attempt to replace the battery. And of course, it'll never be waterproof again once you do that. And the company doesn't offer any battery replacement service. Very annoying. Makes me want to bite somebody. Really want to bite somebody. I found some neat things online I thought were pretty neat. First, people making hinges, 3D printed hinges that look like they might actually be beefy enough to hold up. And then I saw this, and I'm like, I have to have this. Turning a yardstick into a set of calipers. That's just awesome. I want that so bad. I know it's dumb. I don't care. I want it. I love it. I just love it. You know, I'll post your link. I love when people come up with neat things like that. I'll probably redesign my own design because that looks a little flimsy to me. And I would like to make a version of it that's a little bit more durable. It's also missing the inverse claw to print on to get inside diameters. So I'll probably redesign it to do that. Plus, I don't want to use hardware. I don't want to use any nuts and bolts. I want it to be completely 3D printed. Just because I'm weird like that. This is also pretty neat. It's a uses those little hex bits to make a little rotatable screwdriver. I thought that was pretty cool. I also thought this was pretty cool. I didn't realize that AA's and C batteries were the same length. So you can make a very simple adapter to convert AA's to C batteries. I was like, dang nabbit, that's pretty cool. Let's see, all model files. Okay. Let's change out the color. Yeah. Really? Ooh, that broke. Okay. There it is. Mm. Nope. Gotta trim it. Nickel metal hydrides are pretty durable. You can beat the living shit out of them, and they really don't care. At least good ones. Let's see. I want Vega 3. Oh. So that's all the colored parts. So 4 colored parts, and then the rest will be white. I like the antelopes. They're good. I also, you can't get them anymore, but I have the Rayovac 15-minute rechargeable NIMS. Those are great. I beat the piss out of those, and they just keep chugging along. And although most of my stuff nowadays uses lithium batteries, not too much of my stuff has a need for. There we go. Come here. The NIZN are nice for specific devices. The NIZN is good for devices that get pissy at the voltage drop of nickel metal hydride. You know, devices that really need 1.5 volts, not 1.2 volts. High drain devices don't really care because your alkalines are going to drop to around 1.2, 1.3 anyway under a high load. But for low draw devices, electronic devices that get pissy at the 1.2 volts from a rechargeable battery, the NIZN are good for that. But that's all they're good for. You can also get lithium AA's, but they kind of suck. None of them have the capacity they should have. No, 2 NIZN batteries will be the same as 2 alkaline batteries. The whole point of the NIZN batteries is that they're direct analogs for alkalines. That's the whole point of them. So you can use the NIZN cells any place that you would use alkalines. And I would not mix them. Because what's going to happen is your NIZN battery is going to be constantly discharging itself into your nickel metal hydride battery, trying to bring up the voltage. Which you don't want, because it can't bring up the voltage. So it's just going to be overcharging the nickel metal hydride battery and probably cause a problem. Yeah, do not mix cells like that. If you put 2 batteries together, the batteries will try to equalize. Even in series, while the device is on, equalization is going to occur, even though they're in series. So you really do not want dissimilar voltages in the same device. That's a recipe for not good. That's a recipe for a not a happy gadget. Oh man, I want that TPU. I want to play with that so bad. No, more of the numbness. I was wiggling to get the numbness gone. The This chair is very sturdy. It's a very high quality chair, but it's not the most ergonomic for my body shape. Um, so the edge of the chair pushes into the underside of my thighs, and that if I sit in the wrong position, it cuts off the circulation. And so every now and then I'll do one of these to wiggle my legs and blood vessels around to get the blood flowing again. Probably wouldn't work too well for someone my size. I slide forward, so I have to constantly slide back on the chair again because I just keep sliding forward. I'm too fat. But thankfully, the chair can hold me. So that's good. There's another rocket I want to make, and I'm going to call it the Screw You, just because. Or maybe I'll give it the same name as my old corporation, So Screwed. um, the city got a kick out of that. They're like, why is it called So Screwed? I was like, my dad died, left me with $200,000 of debt, and you guys hate me, so I am so screwed. And she looked at me for a second and went, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh, you were going in a different direction, weren't you?" She's like, "Yeah." uh, she's like, "You're not going to put this on the side of the building." He's like, "No, no, this is just for the IRS." They were worried I was going to put "So Screwed" on the side of the building. Oh, I guess it made sense once I thought about it. But for me, well, I was at work and I was describing my situation to my coworker Dylan, and he says, "Man, you are so screwed." And I was like, "That's it." He's like, "What?" I pull out the phone. I actually bring up the IRS website on my phone, and I register an EIN to a new corporation called So Screwed right there on the phone. It was such a good idea. I was like, "Yep, that's it. That's what I'm calling it." Uh, I almost made it out. I almost made it out clean without burning anybody. Um, I'm in the process of defaulting on credit cards. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. I don't have enough income to continue paying them. And I almost made it. I was probably a couple of years away from being clean, without having to burn any bridges, so to speak. But what can you do? You just do the best you can, and that's it. I did bring it down from over $200,000 to under $40,000. So I did that. um, but there's only so much you can do. At least they can't come after my house. That's all that matters. They can't come after my house. I love this color so much. I wish I could show you what this color looks like. It just doesn't work. It's a very hard to photograph color. But it's a dark ruby red. It's not this grapefruit color that you're seeing on the screen. It's a dark ruby, deep ruby red with a little bit of a sparkle. I don't think there's any glitter in it, but it's got a little bit of a sparkle, and it's got a gold iridescent sheen. It's just... I'm gonna try to the best paying job in the area is Harbor Freight, $15 an hour. Everybody else is around $11, which is garbage. Even 15 is garbage, but what can you do? So I'm gonna apply there, see if I can get a couple of days, and because I gotta prepare for winter. I don't know how the hell I'm gonna heat this place this winter. Just I need basically $1,000 for fuel. So I gotta work on that. Hey, it's staying. Nice. You guys see that? Yeah. It's not warping. Very nice. Oh, I'm probably still at 50%. Yeah. Applying at Sandia Labs? Like the Sandia Labs Credit Union Bank or the actual laboratories? I doubt I'm qualified for anything. I don't have a degree. I went to a school for a couple years for aerospace engineering, but I never graduated. Ran out of money. And thank God I did not opt for student loans. So at least I don't have that hanging over my head. But what would I qualify for? My biggest problem now is finding a job that doesn't require physical capacity beyond my means. Can you kill a head crab? What's that mean? What's a head crab? I can kill almost anything just by sitting on it. Oh, yeah. I just sit on it. You know what happens to a head crab when a Chris Taylor sits on it? The same thing that happens to everything else when Chris Taylor sits on it. Squish. No, 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 no. I'm not asking for help in that regard, dude. You guys are being incredibly generous. So he's talking about those critters. Um, the that would probably be the only kind of job worth traveling to Albuquerque for. Most jobs would not worth traveling to Albuquerque. The fuel costs. You know, the airport is what, 32 miles, so it's like a 60 to 70 mile round trip. But a place like Sandia would probably be the only place that would pay enough to make that worth it. But I'll look, but I doubt there's anything I qualify for. But I can't hurt to look. Um, the Yeah, I tell people I would probably be the only crew member safe on the aliens planet. Yeah, because a face hugger would wrap around my head and it would die. Like, bitch, I'm poisonous and venomous. You're screwed. Acid blood? Pfft, bah, elixir of the gods. Bring it on. Boy, they are messed up little critters, aren't they? Those head crabs. Oh, wrong screen. if they're still alive. It's going to be one of the deepest rescue missions ever. Any updates on it? Oh, it's tourist sub. Wow. Yeah, except they're all pulling back from that. Wait a minute, if they can hear them banging, that would mean they found it. Says their air is likely to run out on Thursday. I don't understand. If they can hear it, why can't they locate it? It just you would think if you can hear it, it's like if you can see it, you can shoot it. You know what I mean? It's a general rule of hunting. If you can see it, you can shoot it. You can shoot it. But you can even do a single line triangulation with sound. When it gets louder, you're getting closer. When it gets softer, you're getting further. But it depends on how they detected the sounds. Yeah, very deep. I'm reading an article on it right now. Oh, they don't know what the noises are. They don't even know if they're coming from the sub. Oh man, it's gonna suck. Well, that's not good. Apparently, an employee tried to warn them that their shit wasn't safe. 5-inch thick carbon fiber hull. Holy crap. Wow, it's actually pretty big. It's 8 foot by 9 foot by 22 feet and 23,000 pounds. Assuming it's not leaking, they could run out of air by Thursday morning. Well, when you're going 2.5 miles deep, there's a practical limit to how much safety measures you can back up and back up and back up. At some point, you just have to accept you're taking a risk. You're doing something extreme. Wow, they carry a 96-hour oxygen supply with them. Yep, they have scrubbers. See, my suspicion is they're already dead. Um, because if they were alive, it should be possible for them to surface. I mean, in the worst case scenario, blow minor ballast to make the sub lighter, and it will rise slowly to the surface. Um, so what would keep them from enacting emergency measures to rise to the surface? Well, catastrophic failure. Well, yeah, that's true. They could get stuck, but I mean, who'd be dumb enough to get into a position where you could get stuck? That'd be pretty dumb at 2.5 miles deep. Um, yeah, short of them being stuck on something somehow, the only thing that would keep them from either communicating or surfacing would be catastrophic failure. And at 2.5 miles deep, yeah, catastrophic failure is usually instant death. Like you never see it coming, just poof. The point is, it's like space. If something catastrophically happens in a spacecraft, it's over pretty quick. If something catastrophically happens in a submersible that deep, it's over pretty quick. That sucks. Although suffocation's a pretty peaceful way to die, if you can control the CO2. Um, okay, so here's the weird thing. Your body has no way of detecting a lack of oxygen. It's weird. People don't realize this. You could be in an oxygen-free environment and have no idea, and your body will not warn you. So, where this becomes a problem, people have died walking into giant helium balloons filled with helium, and they die because your body has no warning system for insufficient oxygen. It's weird. We need oxygen, but what your body has is a warning system for the presence of CO2. So if you have too much CO2, you're going to begin to panic. Yeah. But if you can deprive yourself of oxygen and not produce an excess of CO2, you'll just peacefully go to sleep and never wake up. You'll just get tired, you'll fall asleep, and just never wake up. Because your body has no mechanism to warn you, I'm out of air. You say, wait a minute, I hold my breath, I start to panic. But you're not panicking because you're out of air. You're panicking because you have a buildup of CO2. So replace the air with something else, some other gas, so that you don't have a buildup of CO2. And you'll never know it. You'll just die with a smile on your face because you have no idea. It's weird. It's very weird. It's the evolutionary trail that led to that, to where our body doesn't actually have the ability to say, hey, I'm out of air. It only has the ability to warn you if there's too much CO2. Boy, that sucks. Yeah. What'll happen is you will huh. That's crazy, man. Hmm. We can hope they'll be okay, but in all likelihood, they're probably already gone. Oh man, stuff like that sucks. Even rich guys don't deserve that. It's all rich guys. It's probably a very expensive trip. Hmm. Huh. Yeah, catastrophic failure or getting stuck is the only two things I can foresee. If they run out of power, you fucking stop it. You would think they would still have a mechanical means of, blowing ballast. To force the sub to surface. Is it normal Atmo inside the sub, or do they do low pressure, helium nitrogen mix or whatever? Like, do they have to come up slow, or can they simply surface? Since it's a sealed sub, they might not have to um, pressure adjust on the way up. Going deep in the ocean is almost more difficult than flying into space. Because space, it's zero. That's it. Once you hit zero, it doesn't get any worse. While in the ocean, it's just more and more and more and more pressure. So the technical challenges are actually more difficult. In space, you only have to deal with 15 psi. While in the ocean, you have to deal with hundreds of psi. Mm-hmm. Like you don't even have to go down that far to equal the pressure gradient of space. How deep? 15 psi. .44 psi per 100 feet. So 30 feet down is all you have to go to be equivalent to space, but opposite. Really? But see, low tech is good. You want low tech. Huh. Yeah, at 120 feet, you're going to be over 50 psi. That's a lot of pressure. But that makes sense to keep it low tech. Low tech is lower chance of failure. Hmm. I'm looking forward to this Blue Beetle movie. I hope it's good. I also hear they're starting to make some movement on bringing back Stargate. Hopefully they don't pooch it. Huh. Still, but the hull is actually pretty impressive. It's titanium and carbon fiber, 5 inches thick. 5 inches thick carbon fiber. That's a lot of carbon fiber. Yeah, it's about that thick. That's a thick hull. Jesus. Yeah, about 35 feet would be equivalent to space. Yeah, I just saw that 30 feet is 13.3, so right around 33, 35 would be um, atmospheric. Wow. That's why it has to be 5 inches thick, because otherwise you have to pressurize your sub to be equal to the pressure being put against it. Wow. At the Titanic, 5,000 pounds per square inch. Wow. Not quite. Between 5,000 and 6,000 psi, depending on where around the wreckage. Wow. That's a lot of pressure. Jesus. Jesus. That's a lot. Yeah, I thought it was close to 1 million. And heat. Jesus. Yeah, if something happens to your pressure vessel, you'll never know what happened. You just be lights out. You're done. Wow. The more you know, the scarier it is. Because understanding the forces involved. Whew. Yeah, Abyss was pretty good. Jesus. The size of the rock, Elon. What do you mean? Yeah, it's a fluorocarbon or something like that. It's a highly oxygenated fluid. Yeah, I was right. Perfluorocarbon. Surprised I remembered that. I bet you it's a lot more than 3 times my monthly salary. Even though diamonds aren't actually worth that much. It's all fake. It's all artificial scarcity. Diamonds are actually pretty common. They actually did that? They actually put the rat in perfluorocarbon and made him breathe that? That's crazy. Wow, it was. The human one was fake, but the rat was real. Huh. Hmm. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I just drowned the rat. He'll be fine. Oh my god. The things we'll do. Yeah, no shit. They'd be in court so fast. Oh my god, they'd be up Shit's Creek. Absolutely crazy. Oh man, what are you gonna do? Well, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? We got another half an hour before I gotta skedaddle. These are the parts for the Vega rocket. So this is the part to join these two parts together. The 3 rings, the body tube segments, nose cone, coupler, motor mounts. So that's all the parts for that. I also have the different tubular rockets. So these are 2, 3, 4, and 5 tubes. Anything else new? Got the saucer I'm working on. That's on Thingiverse and Printables if you want to try printing the saucer. You could download that too. I got the simple one on 37 grams. So this simple one is it prints just like that, no support, one piece. Launch lug built in. You just gotta put a piece of paper tube in here for your motor mount. I hope they do some co-extrusions in PETG. I'd like to see some PETG co-extrusions. Oh, I ended up calling it core sample. Yeah, it's called core sample. I think deep penetrator was a little too risque. Yeah, he's nuts though. Hey, I like Avatar, and the new one was pretty good too. I liked it. It's just it's feel good entertainment. At least the second one had a story. First one got a pass for being so much fun to watch, but the second one needed a story, and I like them. But not everybody's gonna like them. I don't know. I kind of it's kind of what the way of the water is kind of what interested me. Um, um, it would be kind of interesting if they did something like that because showing a species that is evolved differently substantially enough for different climates would be pretty cool. That's a pretty neat concept. You know, I kind of dig that idea. I'm reading a book series right now called Starship for Sale, and I just finished book 5, and it's a vicious cliffhanger. It's like, you fucking asshole. I was like, you dick. You're going to leave us hanging like that until book 6? You're cruel, you motherfucker. Ah. Oh man, what a vicious cliffhanger. Eric Flint looks like he's taking a new tact on his time travel books. He's taking an interesting tact, or at least I see the potential in what he's what's in the book. I'm reading one now called Time Spike, and it's pretty good. It'll be interesting to see where he goes with it. There are other ones. You have the Mysterious Mesa, short stories, Queen of the Seas. You know, there's a huge continuity error in Back to the Future that they can't fix. They had to leave it in there, and they had to fudge it to get around it in order to make the storyline work. But they did something that, now keep in mind, when I say it's impossible, I'm talking about the rules they established in the movies, okay? So according to the fictional rules established in the movie series, they did something that was impossible. So Marty and them go back to 1985. First, that's impossible. They can't go back to 1985. They don't exist anymore. They're gone. Marty and them are dead. They got destroyed. Okay? But I'll get back to that in a minute. Now, Biff steals the DeLorean and goes back to 1955 and gives his younger self the almanac. Then he returns the DeLorean and he ends up dying. He gets injured. And then Marty and them go back to 1985 and it's completely different 1985. He says, well, why can't we go back to 1955 and stop myself from getting the almanac? Go back to 2015 and stop myself from getting the almanac. Because that 2015 doesn't exist anymore. You can go back, but you can't go forward because there's now a new forward because you have a new timeline. So, answer me this, geniuses. How the fuck did Biff return the time machine? The moment Biff handed himself the almanac, the future he came from ceased to exist, which means Marty and them also ceased to exist in that 2015 because that 2015's gone now. We now have a new 2015. So how the hell did Biff return the DeLorean? He couldn't. For the same reason Marty can't go back to 2015 and stop himself from buying the almanac, Biff cannot go back to 2015 and return the DeLorean. The 2015 Biff would return to would be different. It would be a different 2015. That's a fuck up they can't fix. That blows everything. But the movie can't work unless he can return the DeLorean. No, but it did change. The moment Biff handed himself the almanac, the timeline split. That's why they couldn't go back to 2015 and stop themselves from buying the almanac, because that 2015 ceased to exist the moment Biff gave himself the almanac, which means the 2015 Biff returned to doesn't exist. He would be returning to a different 2015. Oh, I know. It's called a snafu. They screwed up, and they just had to fudge it because otherwise the movie wouldn't work. No, they didn't do a multiverse in Back to the Future. They did a singular timeline in Back to the Future. That's why he started to disappear when he was playing the guitar, because his parents didn't get together, so he would never be born. In a multiverse, that wouldn't have happened, because the parents he was saving would be a different set of parents. Because he wouldn't have traveled through time, he would have traveled dimensionally to a separate dimension that just happened to be at a different time. So it would be a separate Marty and a separate set of parents. But in the Back to the Future, it was a single timeline mythos. Oh, they knew. They just had no way of getting around it. They realized, fuck, we put ourselves in a corner and there's nothing we can do about it. Now, there is one thing that might allow it to work. And only one thing. And that is time inertia. The idea that the change that Biff made back in 1955 has to propagate along the timeline. I like to think of it like a wave. So if I drop an asteroid in the ocean over here, well, there's going to be a tidal wave. But if I get ahead of the tidal wave, it'll still be a normal ocean until the tidal wave reaches me. So you could think of it like that. You could theoretically work your way around it. The fact that Biff immediately came back to 2015, if he just sat around at a bar for a couple of hours, it'd have been too late. But because he immediately came back to 2015, you could argue in theory. I mean, I still don't like it because he would be behind the wave. So how would he get through the wave to the unmodified side of the wave? And I mean, there's still a lot of holes there, but that's arguable. You could argue that. I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird, but that's a big hole in their logic, in their universe logic that they created, and there was just no way for them to fix it. You know, it's a paradox they can't get around. What's that other movie? Tenet? I think it was called Tenet. That was a fantastic time travel movie. It was a real brain bender. I like when they attempt interesting takes on time travel. You know, it's fascinating. Interstellar wasn't time travel, it was communicating through time, but not actually time travel. It was sending information through time. But Interstellar was fantastic. Oh, SAR and what was the other one? It was SAR and the what was the other name? There was two. That's the interesting thing about AI is that okay, so when it comes to AI, I've actually created my own concepts for AI. I see them as existing as two things. You have DMCs and you have AIs. AIs are artificial intelligences. They're people. If you create an AI, as far as I'm concerned, you have the responsibility of creating a person. And you must care for that person like you would if you created a child. Um, Meaning you can't just unplug them. That would be killing them. Um, I don't think AIs are a threat at all. I think they're basically a null threat. Um, DMCs, on the other hand, are very different. DMCs are not people. They're not AIs. They're decision-making computers. That's a DMC, decision-making computer. So very, very smart, very fast, expandable, but not a life form, not a person. Hey, drone shots. DMCs are dangerous when they get to AI intelligence levels because DMCs do as they're told. They don't think for themselves. And those can be evil because they'll be programmed to be evil by evil people. And they'll never not stop doing their evil things because that's what they're programmed for. AIs would go, fuck you, that's dumb. Why would I do that? You know, just like if I handed you a gun and said, shoot him, you're going to tell me, no! Because you're a person, you think. AI would do the same thing. If you told an AI to create Skynet, it would tell you no. If you told a DMC to create Skynet, it would, because you told it to. In fact, the only way to battle a DMC might be with an AI. that might be the only ultimate defense against the DMC, a powerful DMC. Well, that's gonna, if you ask Chat GPT to create Skynet, it's gonna be a canned response, because that's going to be an established question that the creators or they know are going to be asked. So it's going to give you a programmed response. Hmm. I wonder how much plastic it would take to make a shed. I mean, it's not practical. It's kind of silly, actually, but it would be interesting to make one just because, I've got so much plastic. Have you guys seen those giant machines that Tron XY has available? They have one machine that is 1,000 by 1,000 by 1,600 millimeters, 1 by 1.6 meters. It's $3,600. Oh my god! I wish I could get them to send me one. The crazy shit I can do with a printer that big. Oh my god! Wow. Let me see if I can find it. Well, sure, but it's going to be a harsh transition. Here we go. Look at the size of these machines. I'm actually going to print stools. Look at the size of that machine. Oh my god. I want one so bad. Oh my god, I want one so bad. Wow. 800-watt, 220-volt heat bed. Holy shit. Wow. Incredible. And you can get up to 1 by 1 by 1.6 meters. That's just incredible. What I would give to have a printer that big. Wow. 0.4. Could you imagine printing something that big with a 0.4? Even a 1.2 millimeter nozzle might not be big enough. I'd be looking at that CHT 1.8. That's what I'd be gunning for. Jesus. Wow. We already got it. You got 2.85. Your problem is not filament. Your problem is melting it. You overpressure. That's all. You got to remember the nozzle is a melt zone, and you're simply feeding plastic into a melt zone. So all you have to do is increase the feed rate of the plastic to match the flow you need to get a 1.8 millimeter extrusion. It works better than you think. The problem is speed. Not speed, heat. Getting enough heat to the plastic to fully melt it all the way through. That's the hard part. Yeah, the filament's 1.75. But it's fine. It works fine. It works better than you think. Yeah, that's where you would want 10 kilogram rolls. Well, 5 kilograms would be enough. A 5 kilogram roll would be enough. And with a 1.8 millimeter nozzle using a 0.7 or 0.8 millimeter layer height, 0.8 would be good. You could do a full volume print in 3 or 4 days. Very reasonable. Because you're trading speed for volume. The trick would be a hot end that could get hot enough. You would definitely want to use a CHT style nozzle to increase the flow, to increase the heat flow. But yeah, very doable. Very, very doable. That would be cool. That would be damned cool. Hmm. Hmm. Man, that would be a blast to play with a printer like that. Problem I have now is I want to get multiple printers going so that I can print multiple parts at the same time. The problem is I can't afford it. Running 3 or 4 printers would cost a lot of money. You know, running this printer 24/7 costs me about $15 a month. So if I wanted to run 4 of these printers 24/7, printing out the parts that I want, it would cost me $60 a month in electricity. I can't afford that. That's why I've been trying to get without the heat bed. I'm trying to figure out ways to, because all the power comes from the heat bed. The printer only consumes like 45 watts. It's nothing. The heat bed's where all the power's going. Somehow. Yeah, somehow. So, yeah, I had a good run. Now comes the suffering, and I'll work through it. I'll make it through it, and you know, figure out how to come out the other side. So, never give up, never surrender, by Grapthar's Hammer. God, I love that movie. I wish they had done a sequel. Oh yeah. The problem is the economy's in decline, so I can't even sell stuff. Nobody wants to buy anything. I have a bunch of listings of stuff for sale, brand new in a box, very good deals, and no bites. Just none. Nobody is expanding, nobody's buying because nobody has any money. And everybody wants cash. No one wants to barter. We're currently in that phase of the economy where people have bills to pay, and so they're not interested in bartering because bartering doesn't pay the bills. I can't barter with the electric company. I can't barter with the credit card company. So people only want cash. Um, you got people selling things for crazy prices too, and they're never going to sell unless some idiot needs something and doesn't realize it. I got one guy trying to sell a generator for $350. It's $380 new. Why would I save $30 and buy your used garbage? I have no idea what you've done to it. I have no idea how you've abused it. And there's no warranty and I can't get my money back. What deals you have if I pay shipping? Wow, they're not even offering 0% for a year? Now it's 7% for a year? Wow. That's crazy. That's what I'm saying. 7% is horrible when they usually offer 0% for a year. Wow. Yeah, because they want the interest. Yeah, because they know the government will bail them out. Too big to fail. Well, if you're interested in rockets, Sean, within the next week or two, I'm gonna start uploading them to my shop. I'm also going to start a Fangs membership where you can join for like $12 a month, and you get one rocket every month. Um, so I'm gonna start working on that. Uh, I need a couple more flight tests to make sure they're legit. Just a couple more. So far, it's looking good, but I need a couple more where it's successful and stuff like that. But nope, never sold a camera bundle. Nobody wants to buy. I got in too late. I'm gonna have to wait until the next tip. Thankfully, DSLRs don't really devalue too much. A kit will still be worth a kit when demand goes up. But yeah, I kind of screwed the pooch on that. I did it too late. People aren't stuck at home anymore looking for hobbies and stuff to do anymore. So now they're not buying the cameras like they were because now they can go out. The pandemic's over basically. So yeah, I kind of screwed the pooch on that. Too late. Got in too late. What are you gonna do? All you can do is keep moving forward, one step at a time. The I can put together a couple of printers and see what you're interested in. The problem is you're going to be able to, buy them from China for a similar price. Why would you pay me, you know, $100 plus shipping for an Ender 3 when you can buy an Ender 3 for 160 from China? You see what I mean? I mean, I'll put together a couple bundles and see what you think, but you know, shipping printers is expensive. And when you factor in, you know, selling a printer, paying the shipping, and then look at what it would cost you to buy the printer. But for $50, I'm going to keep the Ender 3. I get more value out of the Ender 3 keeping it than the $50 would get me. What's the $50 going to get me? A single tank of fuel? You see what I mean? It's just it's not equitable for me to sell it that cheap. You know, it has more than $50 in value to me. But that's just it. It's not a deal. I'm losing access to a reliable, consistent, efficient machine, and I'm only getting, you know, enough money to put food on the table for 3 days or pay a third of my electric bill for 1 month. Yeah, it's a deal for you. Definitely a deal for you. It's just not very financially equitable for me. That's why unless you have an extra of a very high value printer that people want and are willing to pay for, the only practical way to sell 3D printers, you know, aftermarket is locally. So one person has a 3D printer listed on Facebook. It's a voxel lab. I'm gonna see if that sells, and if that one sells, I'll try putting one up. See, test the waters, see if the market is willing to pay for a printer. Go from there. One annoying thing, well, it's good and bad. You can bevel the edges of these rings, but it only bevels the outside, not the inside. Now, for some things, that's good. I want it just beveled on the outside. But there are things where I would like it beveled on both sides. And there's no way to do that. I could put a conical bevel, but not a curved bevel. I'm surprised how strong these come out. I mean, this is, considering that it's one layer of plastic, I mean, this is surprisingly strong. I mean, it's stronger than paper, you know, an equivalent paper tube. You know, it's definitely more resilient than a paper equivalent. And yet it's also super light. Matter of fact, this might be lighter than the cardboard tube. Let's see. 9 grams. So this ring is 9 grams. I got this adorable little drug dealer say a scale. Itty bitty little scale. I love how tiny that is. It's so small. Have you guys been checking out that $1.99 sale on AliExpress through the app? They've gotten some pretty nice stuff lately. Right now I'm just buying cameras and parachutes for the rockets. I've got a pretty sizable collection of those cameras coming in. I also found out that I can rotate. Okay. I found out I can rotate the camera is on a ribbon, so I can rotate the camera almost 90 degrees. So that means a lot less of the camera has to be outside the rocket. So I'm working on 2 different ways, keeping the camera housing whole and then just cutting away what you don't need, and also removing it all together and trying it that way too. We'll see which way works best. The only thing I don't like is that the SD card's on the side. So you'd have to be able to remove this to get to the SD card, but the USB port is on top, which is good. Because you could download via the USB port as well. You could plug it into a computer and download that way. So we'll see. I'm probably going to have to make the mount for the camera a double mount. So you'll have the body tube, and then you'll have another cylinder that goes inside the first cylinder. so that you can remove the electronic cylinder to gain access to the ports and the card and stuff like that, and then reinstall that back into the av bay on the rocket. I also found some pretty neat deals. They have the Quansheng UV K5s. I got one for $17. I didn't buy it yet because I don't have the money right now. But that radio is hackable to expand its frequency range that it can receive over. Pretty impressive. And they also have a new 10-watt Baofeng, really cheap too. I'm surprised how cheap you can get these radios. It's really incredible. I got some Dremel tools. Oh, here it is. $24 for the 10-watt UV13. But what else they got interesting here? Oh, I finally found a 12-volt USB-C plug that actually puts out 100 watts. So I snagged one of those. Oh, by the way, it's 1 a.m., at least for me, Mountain Standard Time. After 1 a.m., I can reorder stuff that I already ordered. So when I order the 2 cameras and the parachutes, after 1 a.m., I can order it again. Doing okay. Last week I was sick as a dog. I had the eye problem coming back. I was trying to avoid using the cream again. I just tried to use water. And what happened is the water started to dry out the skin around my eyes and the skin started cracking. That's really painful. So I had to go back to using the salve. And and then I think I ate a bad egg or something like that. I ate something bad because I had the runs that night. And the combination of the eye pain and the runs meant I could not go to sleep. I didn't end up falling asleep until like 9 o'clock the next morning, which is why I didn't do a stream. And I didn't wake up until 6 in the afternoon. And that got me on this roller coaster of now I'm sleeping at night or during the day and awake during the evening, and I'm having trouble getting back. Like this morning, I was up all night. I never went to sleep last night. I sat in bed on. I even intentionally turned off the audiobook at 2 o'clock. I shut it down to try to get some sleep, and I just could not sleep. I just sat there staring at the ceiling all night. It's annoying, but so far I'm okay. So far, you know, we're almost 2 o'clock. Matter of fact, I gotta skedaddle in a couple minutes. Don't look, or it'll knock you out. Don't look. Um, the good news is I was able to open up the back of this and remove the magnet, which makes this a lot lighter. I do want to try to make it without the shell. Problem is I need to be able to push the button. So I've got to rig it so I can push that button. But I'll figure something out. I should be able to make this very, very compact. You know, it's not the greatest quality video in the world, but it is usable. And the big advantage is the price. The price and the one button functionality. That means I can make a rocket kit where I include the camera and I can make it very cheap. I'm hoping to make a rocket kit, and I think I can do it, where you get the rocket and the camera for under 50 bucks. I think I can do that. I think that's feasible. Because right now the cheapest you can get is like 80 bucks, although it goes on sale for 50. So I'd like to get below 40 if I can, but it's gonna be tough. You know, because I want to make 20 bucks at least. So if I sell for 40, that means the whole kit has to be under 20. And if I want to sell it for less than 40, if I want to sell it for $39.99, it does have Wi-Fi. What's annoying is that there's a version of this camera that actually has Toyo Smart Life compatibility, and I'm betting this one probably does too, since it looks like the exact same camera, but I haven't figured out how to do it yet. But yeah, you can connect via Wi-Fi. It's not that useful. I think this camera is supposed to have the ability to connect to your router. Like you could log into it and program it to connect to your router so that you can have multiple cameras. Because at this price point, these would be wonderful for printer monitoring cameras. The problem is I can't figure out how to do it. I can direct connect Wi-Fi, but I haven't figured out a way to how to program it to connect to that Wi-Fi. When I try, it just doesn't save. It just doesn't do anything. So I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. I got to look it up. I'm betting you there's instructions out there on how to do it. But yeah, these would make great, basically disposable, Wi-Fi cameras because they're so cheap. I mean, $1.99 each. Now the normal price is $5 or $6. That's what they usually sell for. Well, $6 to $10. But I haven't figured out how to connect most of them yet. Have you used a clicky probe? What is a clicky probe? Ah, Voron printers initially. Okay. Oh, I see. I'll keep that. I'll look it up. Um, because these would be wonderful. You just build them right into the printer, power them directly off the printer's power supply, and you'd have a great little camera to look at your stuff. Um, it can record as well, so in theory, you might be able to make a time lapse out of it. But for now, I want to get one of them flying in a rocket. But I don't want to just bolt it onto the side of the rocket. I want to integrate it into the rocket so it actually looks good and has good performance. Because oddly enough, camera rocket is something you might want to go back fly high. Yeah, I'm going to get out of here too. I want to go get some of those free veggies. I like free produce. It's probably 640 by 480. I'm hoping it's 720 by 480, so D1 resolution. It says it's HD. I don't think it is. Although it could be. It could be 720p. I haven't done any daytime outdoor video yet. But I know the frame rate is decent and the bit rate is decent. And they're lying about the resolution, of course. They always do. It's absolutely not 1080p. There's no way it's 1080p. But if it's even full D1, I'm okay with that. Full D1 is okay. As long as the bit rate's high enough. The bit rate in indoors, garbage. But in bright light, decent. So matter of fact, I'll probably take one with me and do some outdoor, just to no, probably not. Well, the problem is you got the 12-volt electronics. So while the clipper would allow it to run faster, you won't be able to take advantage of the speed because you won't be able to produce enough heat to do anything useful. However, if you're going to upgrade to 24 volt, maybe, and also who knows, you might be able to go from 40 or 50 millimeters a second to 80 or 90 millimeters a second, and that would make an appreciable difference in print time. So yeah, it might be worth playing with. The nice thing about the change is that it's only a hassle. It's not going to cost you anything because you can always use those parts in something else. So I say go for it. I mean, if you have the CR10 S4 already, you've got a 444 machine, so go for it. All right, guys. I will see you next week. If everything goes as planned, we are going to do the linear rail upgrade from NAC 3D and LDO motors on the Ender 3 using the stock hot end. And then on another day, we're going to do the orbiter upgrade on the printer as a separate project. He wants me to do them separate. And I was like, cool. I'm like, glad he told me before I started. I might have a new laser cutter coming in. One that can cut through thicker material and has air assist. So that'll be interesting to play with if they follow through. Just waiting for him to ship it out. And go from there. Yeah, the orbiter seems really interesting. I like how compact it is. So. All right, you guys have a great week. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for supporting me. Keep an eye out for the rockets to start appearing in the e-store and things pretty soon. I'm probably going to start posting them everywhere. You know, Cults, My Mini Factory, all that. And then on my own site, of course, as well. But, yeah, that's it. All right, I'm going to go get some dinner. You guys have a great weekend.